Hi, welcome to the M42 Adventures Podcast. I'm not your host, Rick Trimmer. I'm Chase Segmiller, and we're going to have a very in-depth and fun conversation with Dayna Boshard today, and go in depth about her being a mother, business owner, the different types of charity that she's involved with, and my own little personal relationship with her, and the fact that she's been my barber for 7 years now. And she's always been, treated me really nice. And so we got on a little bit of a deeper level, but she also is giving some great details on how to get out there as a woman and enjoy these outdoor things that, all of us like to do here at M42 Adventures. And I'm really excited for you to all experience this conversation. I was behind the scenes on this one recording, and so let's get on there, and I hope y'all enjoy it.
Anyway, we'll jump into it. So Dayna, right? Boshard, how do you say your last name?
Yeah, Beauchard.
Perfect.
Yeah.
So we have not met. This is the first time we've ever met. We chatted a little bit. You're in the Genesis. And Chase, who's here in the studio today, he is the one who has put this together. And he raves about you, says you're just amazing, an amazing person. And that's why we wanted you on here today. I'm trying to, like you had said earlier, our branding. We started this 9 months ago, and my first 30 guests were men.
Right.
And it wasn't on purpose. It was just, that's obviously who I'm going to be, more friends with and who I hang around with more. But M42 Adventures is for men and women, And so, tell us a little bit about, so you're a mother, a wife, and an entrepreneur.
Yeah, I've been married 27 years, and I have 3 kids, and my 2 boys, and then my husband and I had a daughter together, and so, and I'm an empty nester, so my kids are all like 25 to 36.
Are you from St. George originally?
No, but I'm from Utah.
Okay.
Yeah.
What part?
Orem, Provo.
Okay.
And we lived up Provo Canyon for 14 years. And before we moved here, we've been here now going on 8 years.
Oh, that's cool. Up the canyon. That's beautiful.
Yeah. So my husband, Dave, he was running the water system and wastewater system for Sundance Resort for years. And that's where we met. And then, but yeah, it was just a good place to come here to get out of the weather and
it's a good
the
spot.
Recreation and everything.
Yeah. With my travels the last few years, we've gotten around to a lot of places, and there's a lot of beautiful, beautiful places in this world, but I love St. George. It is just
it's amazing.
The secret's out, right? I mean, it is growing like
Definitely.
crazy. So,
So
that's a little bit tough.
Yeah, it's, I think, we understand the draw, it's like, of course you want to be here. We all do.
Yeah. Everything. I mean, it's got everything outdoors.
Yeah.
Honestly, that you could probably imagine. Right?
For sure. Yeah. Yeah. Utah's just a great place in general with diversity of mountains and desert and terrain. So it just offers itself to so many cool adventures and
you got lakes,
recreation and exactly.
There's Lake Powell. I was just over there a week ago with my wife for our 18th anniversary. And I'd never been in the winter. I think I actually don't even remember going over, but it was cute. We went and stayed at the Lake Powell Resort, and they had it all decorated for Christmas. There's nobody there.
Yeah.
They had the fire pit going and the hot tub going.
Just a cool vibe.
Yeah. And the price is, $100 a night instead of $350 a night in the summer. So it was really,
I bet that was awesome.
It was cool.
Yeah.
It was cool. It was cool to see the lake just the whole entire day, just glass. There was one boat like every 3 or 4 hours. And so, that's probably my favorite place on earth. Lake Powell.
It's amazing.
It's insane.
Yeah, it is so cool.
That and Zion.
Yeah.
I always tell people like Powell's like Zion, but just with water, which is right up my alley. So mother, wife, and then an entrepreneur.
Yeah, I'm a barber. I've been a barber now for 10 years, and I've had a couple other companies before becoming a barber, and I've done a lot of retail, and but yeah, I enjoy working for myself and building business and community, and I built my business really to attract, one, I have to attract clients anyway to be a barber, but I built a brand. It's called Benchmark Barbershop, and Benchmark was a good name because obviously care about quality of standard and like a high standard, but also marrying my passion for the outdoors with my community and my business. And so Benchmark is also, as you know, like the plaque that you'll see on top of mountains indicating elevation and by the Geological Survey. And so, or I guess it's probably the Geographical Survey, but regardless, I just thought it was like cool because it indicated both of those things that are important to me. And my marketing and graphics definitely were there to attract a more active lifestyle client.
That's very interesting. I did not know that. Yeah, that's unique. That's so outdoors, and that's why you're here. Again, a big part of this is you're an avid hiker. I mean, what all do you do? What's your passion?
Yeah, I mean, hiking has been something I've done pretty much lifelong. I mean, my family, we'd go out on hikes. When I was young in high school, I had the rare opportunity to be in a class at Orem High School that's called Unified Studies, and it was an all-day class with 2 teachers, and you had to apply to get in, and it was 60 students and the curriculum was based on outdoor learning.
Oh, that's rad.
So it was hiking.
They still have that?
Unfortunately, no. It went for 20 years though, or
Jeez,
plus.
That sounds so healthy.
It was incredible. So you received social studies, science, art, recreation. So it was like your PE credit, and English, because we did journaling. And anyway, we hiked. We went cross country skiing. We made leaf collections. We went bird watching. We went on these super adventures, we called it the super activity. And so we just
probably tubing the Provo River a little bit.
We never did that.
Didn't you?
No, but we did a lot of Uintas and southern Utah and stuff like that. And
wow, that sounds so needed.
Yeah. So then,
why did they get rid of it? Just liability?
Yeah,
or
some
something?
liability stuff. But regardless, it provided this incredible foundation. And then from there, it was climbing. And so, I think hiking was always at my core. And then, of course, I've dabbled in a lot of other things like ice climbing and camping, backpacking, martial arts, snowboarding. A number of things just because I like to try everything pretty much. Road biking, mountain biking, triathlons. So I've definitely done a lot, but at my core, I love to hike. And so that's...
Well, I think hiking, is so, one, it's healthy, just getting outside and moving your body,
sure.
But
yeah,
it's an easy entrance.
Yeah.
You don't have to go buy a bike or get gear or,
Yeah, you just have to have good footwear and some hydration.
That's right.
And know where you're going.
Yeah. Which is a lot easier these days with all the maps and all the apps and stuff that we have. 100%. So that is amazing.
Yeah.
I did not know you did all that. That is.
Well, I don't know. I've always been a tomboy and athletic. I can't say that every sport was my sport. But I'm newer to trail running in the last few years, and running was never my sport.
I hate running.
Yeah. And honestly, the running thing has come about in kind of a cool way, only because it was such a weakness for me. And as much as I love to hike, I thought, I could probably improve my cardio and my strength and also my ability to cover more terrain if I start trail running. And I want to see what I can do. And it was weird because I never once had a desire to run a marathon. I'd run a couple halves, but I never cared to run a marathon. But I also finally, after some triathlons, after just being out doing just minor 5Ks and stuff, thought I should get some coaching and just make this something that at least if I'm going to do it, I can do it more efficiently and not look like I'm struggling. Yeah. And one time my husband, I was finishing a triathlon and he was on the run course and super supportive. At the end, after everything was settled, he's like, so the running, there's got to be a better way.
Yeah.
Like, he just saw my form and my technique, and he was just trying to be as nice as possible, but I knew it. He knew it. I needed help. And so fortunately, I've had some good running coaches. And so I did my first marathon this year.
Oh, awesome.
But the funny thing is it wasn't a road. I couldn't fathom being on the road for 26. So I found a really cool mountain marathon in Beaver, the Beauchard, and you are at an elevation of 10 and 11,000 feet. And
When did you do that?
in July.
Was it a loop?
Was
Did you go? Was it up by like
yeah.
Big John Flat?
Yeah. Uh-huh.
I was camped there
Were you?
on that weekend.
Oh my gosh.
4th of July, right?
Yes. No, the 27th.
Maybe it was. No, actually,
we
I was
did-
in Alaska on the 4th, so it would have been the 27th.
Okay, yeah, because we did have to go through Big John Flat.
I remember we were there camping. We had no idea.
Okay.
It was funny because we went up there and we're like, let's get away from it all.
And then
We
there's
woke up the
freaking
next
mountain
morning
marathon.
and it was like people sitting up chairs.
Yes, that
And
was it.
Yeah, we were.
Yeah.
Not that you would remember, but yeah, my Gladiator was parked right there, and my kids were sitting out
That's so funny.
cheering people on.
Yeah.
and we didn't even know what was happening, but it
Well,
was
there were multiple distances. So
okay. Yeah, there was people going till like
yes.
dark.
Yeah. Because there was a half marathon, full marathon, 50K and 100K.
Wow.
So I did the marathon, and so it was, but it ended up being like 29 miles or 30. Like my watch said 29, and my Strava said 30, and then we had about 6,400 feet elevation gain.
Yeah, we talked to one because I'm like, where are you guys going? And they kind of pointed where they were. Mm-hmm. I saw, you'd go, there was a blue tent up by the bathrooms.
Yeah.
And you'd go up past that. And I was like, man, there is some elevation just from
Yeah.
that lower meadow to where that blue tent was.
Yeah. Oh, yeah. We started and finished at Eagle Point Resort.
Wow.
So, yeah.
Wow.
Yeah.
Yeah, we were there. That's cool. That's interesting.
Yeah, that's funny that you were
yeah,
there.
we woke up the next morning. We're like,
Yeah.
what's happening?
Yeah. Well,
And,
you caught it at a good time.
So we made the best of it. My kids, they're all younger and they just sit out there and cheered everybody on. And, it was a good experience for them to see. And
For sure.
we could tell it was a loop because the same people would come by every once in a while and we're like,
Yeah.
wow.
Those who were doing the longer distances had to do multiple
loops.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
Yeah. But
Yeah.
that's-
Do people get lost on those kind of runs?
Probably
there's the
used to.
potential, but they do such a good job of flagging the course. But then also you're required to have a GPS with the map, the course on your phone.
Oh, cool.
Or a device of some sort.
Yeah.
So.
Yeah.
It's interesting because we had we've had with you talking. We had two guests on. One is Bryce Jones. Do you know Bryce Jones here in town?
I don't.
He's done tons of all these things, and he's gotten into trail running.
Okay.
The last couple of years, but he's done all the Ironmans and whatever. And his new thing is trail running, and he just
Cool.
did the South Rim to the north and back.
Yes.
And right when he was on, he had just done it a few weeks earlier, and then a few weeks later, he did it with his 12-year-old son.
Mm-hmm.
And I was like, man, I could maybe get on board with that, because, like you said, running down a road just does not interest me.
Right.
It's like I know the one here from Vayo to town, or from Central to town.
Yeah. Like I applaud anyone who does it.
Oh,
because,
100%. I respect it.
Yeah. I mean, there's no.
But my brain would just be,
It's a little too monotonous
Yeah.
for me. But
Yeah.
I, regardless of the challenge, like I applaud anybody who's willing to put themselves out there.
100%.
So that's not the.
Yeah, it's unbelievable when I see those people out there. I'm like, wow,
Yeah.
that is. We always go out and cheer them on.
For sure. Absolutely.
The Ironman goes by my house in Green Springs,
Yep.
and I get emotional.
Dude, so do
I get
I.
emotional.
Yes.
My son's like,
Yes.
Dad, are you gonna cry? And I'm like, I don't know. I don't know what's happening. I just
Yeah.
respect these people.
Yeah.
I'm like, I don't know what's happening. Look away.
Well, I think too, like sometimes you see people who that's maybe their first time running something like that or doing something like that kind of a challenge.
Absolutely.
And you see them and you're just like inspired because how can you not be?
There was a video I saw the other day of a guy up on a overpass. I don't know if you saw it. It was a reel, and people were running under him, and he was screaming, and he says, I can't remember exactly how it went, but he says, you can, there's a time to quit, but today is not that day. And he's just yelling at him, cheering him on, and gives you goosebumps. You know, it's like, man,
Yeah. Always.
I love it.
Yeah. Same.
And then we had Trevor Farnsoff. Have you heard of Mountain Ops?
Oh, the supplement company.
Yeah.
Yeah,
Mhm.
for sure.
So he was on here a couple months ago, and he wrote a book called Conquer. I think it's called Conquer Code. But in the beginning of it, he talks about not really being into running, and he, like you said, he wanted to go do one, and he didn't want to run on a road, so he signed up for the Moab.
There's like an ultra, and there's all kinds of stuff.
It was something like that where there was distances. But he went and got a coach, and I was like, you know, what was interesting talking to Bryce and to Trevor that I didn't realize because I'm not a runner, but there's definitely technique. There's definitely, you know, ways to save energy. And then what you eat, like Bryce was telling me, he has it down with his body where he has salt tablets or whatever. He has a belt with stuff on because you can't carry gallons of water and stuff.
Right. There's aid stations, but you need to have stuff in between.
Yeah. And he said when he did the Grand Canyon, they got to one and the pipe had frozen and it was broken. And so they had to go another, you know, whatever to get to more water. And so he's like, you have to understand what your body can do and all these things. And I'm like, there's a lot more to this. I loved it because I go hunting and I had never thought about, you know, like how much weight I have. It's like my uncles do this where I'll have a backpack with 50 pounds on and they have a bottle of water and a Snickers bar. And I'm like, that's all you're taking? And they're like, dude, you're going to wear out long before me with your 50 pounds on your back than I am with this. This is all you need. You don't need 10,000 calories to hike that hill. Yeah. And so it was really interesting for me to learn that there is a science to this.
Man, there is. And everybody's so different. So it's like, it's not a one size fits all. It's case by case. And through experience and getting yourself out there is when you really discover what works and what doesn't work, what your body is capable of in terms of nutrition and hydration and how far you can go, what you need to carry. And all that just comes with the training and experience of being out. And there's really no other way because you can't just say, well, this is what works for me. You know, I have to eat breakfast, but then, you know, to have the energy to go do these things. But I have friends who are like, oh, I will be so sick to my stomach if I have breakfast. Yeah. You know, so you can't just say, well, this is what works for me. And so you have to dial it into your own, you know, needs. And
like you said, I think that's the way to do it is, you know, start small, get a coach, you know, and that's what we tell everybody. That's what, that's what M42 is. Yes. Is basically, you know, getting mentors that can say, hey, this is how you get into this, you know, safely. Sure. And financially, you know, there's a lot of things I'm sure, you know, like with me with travel for the last 8 years, been traveling. Yeah. It's like, I can tell you so many ways to save money instantly. Don't buy that luggage, buy this luggage. Don't buy your airplane, you know, and it's like, it's the same with all of these things. Right. You know, and that's what I just think that people are missing so much. And I don't know if it's pride or they just don't know where to go or cost.
Yeah, or like they just don't sometimes like realize the amount of research it takes, or they, you know, sometimes I think with adventure, maybe it seems a little overwhelming or intimidating, but you start small and you start building your way up. It's like I was just saying, like I've done all this stuff and I had never done a marathon before, but you work your way up to that. You know, it's like you traveling, you don't just decide after never traveling that you're going to travel solid for 8 years. Right. Like you've gone on many trips and then decided like it's an evolution. It's like progression. And, but yeah, I think you have to consider that.
Yeah. And I think like you said before with the, like you said you did ice climbing.
I did dabble in ice climbing for a while. Yeah.
You know, I think people don't even realize how much is out there. I have a buddy of mine who called me, it was like 4 years ago. But he actually sent me a message and he says, "Hey Rick, you know, I'm bored. I've got money, won the financial game, and I'm bored. I thought it would fulfill me and it hasn't, and I need a hobby." And he's like, "You're always doing stuff. What's fun?" And I'm like, "Well, we could go camp." And he's like, "I don't want to sleep in a tent." I'm like, "We could go, you know, ride dirt bikes." He's like, "I don't want to do that. That seems scary." We could go hunt. He's like, "I don't want to kill anything." And I went through 7 or 8 and I couldn't find that thing. And that was back then 4 years ago. And now I talked to him the other day and I'm like, dude, I got like 60 of them now. And he's like, really? And that's what I think people don't realize is there's so much out there. Yeah. You know, just like you said, just in a quick couple sentences, you know, hiking, climbing, ice climbing, you know, snowboarding, camping. Yeah. It's like, my brother is way into Jeeping.
Yeah.
He travels all over the country in Jeeps. And now I just found out like a week ago that he's way into long distance shooting.
Oh, nice.
Yeah. He's one of those guys who just, do you know Cody Prisby? Do you know Cody?
No.
He kind of runs around in this world. He was way into rappelling and stuff for a couple years. There's the Desert Rat. Is that what it is here? And he was always over there. He's one of those guys that gets absorbed, and he went and did, I think, every trail in southern Utah for a few years.
Okay.
But I think that's what people don't realize is there's so many venues to go, have fun
for
outdoors.
Sure. Yeah.
And like you said, I love what you said. I think a lot of people try one thing. Like I tried snowboarding and it didn't work out. And it's like, well, try skiing, try snowshoeing, try cross country skiing.
Yeah.
Try snowmobiling. It's like there's lots of winter sports. Ice skating,
hiking is a great winter sport.
Oh yeah, 100%. I just booked a room last night for Ruby's Inn in Bryce Canyon for this weekend, and we're gonna go snowshoeing.
Cool.
Me and my wife and 3 little kids.
It's beautiful up there,
and it's like, it's something. I don't even know if there's snow. I don't know if there will be much. But I told them, I'm like, yeah, we'll go snowshoeing. They're like, what's that? And I'm like, you put these things on your feet that make it so you can walk on snow. And we'll just walk around. And they're like, sounds fun. They know their dad.
Sure.
But it's like, I think when you find the beauty in, being grateful that you can do these things, and it sounds like you are, where, there's a lot of people who can't go hiking this weekend, or they can't, for whatever reasons. And I've just been one of those people that's always like, man, I'm grateful that I was just at the gym before here. And I hate the gym. I can't stand it. But I'm there and I'm like, I'm grateful that my muscles will move this weight. There's a lot of people who can't.
It's what keeps you strong for for your actual sports.
100%.
Because it just facilitates that for you. It's not the gym.
Yeah, I'm never going to be a musclehead, as far as that. I just don't have the determination. I respect it. Again, those people who have that devotion and whatnot.
Yeah. I
was actually telling my wife the other day that I can't remember what the statistic was, but you have like a 1% of the population. You're 33,000 times more likely to be a millionaire than have a six-pack after the age of 40. Something like that. And I was like, that's interesting.
Yeah, that is.
And it is harder. It is a lot harder to have a six-pack than money for me. But anyway, yeah. So I love that you are adventurous like that. I think that is to be commended. So many people are held back. What has made you, were you raised that way? Were your parents that way? What made you,
I have a passion for personal growth and challenging myself is what
your whole life you were born that way.
I think like what we've talked about is it's been progressive because I've challenged myself with different things over the years as like a younger teenager, playing basketball, doing more traditional things like that, just like always liking to be moving and being athletic. But it really, I think with me, it just feels kind of natural to be attracted to a sport or to an activity and then just go for it, to like be like, well, I research it, I figure it out, and then I decide like this is what I want to do, and I start doing it, and then it doesn't mean that I stick with it forever, like I did triathlon for a few years, I did a lot of long distance road biking for some years, and I, as much as I loved it, there was a time when I was like, I'm ready to phase that out and start something else, but always bringing, I don't know, some other new challenge in, like, and I think just the idea of personal growth and seeing what we're capable of and what, because I think that's what drives it for me is I know I'm like this 5'3", 135-pound girl that, like, I never had like necessarily a lot of money. I'm not like super wealthy, but I like to travel and I like to be adventurous. I like that my body is healthy. I try everything I can do in terms of nutrition and fitness to stay healthy because to me that is such a form of wealth.
Oh, completely.
And so to me, that is my wealth, is like my family, my relationships, and my physical fitness.
I respect that way more than money. You know,
it's-
that's,
sure.
I mean, that is
money's important.
100%.
For sure it
Money's
is.
necessary.
Yeah, but it's like the things that I am driven to do are usually coming from inside me, and that's where like Chase might have told you about the 29029 Everesting hike that I did to raise money. Okay, well that's a good story.
Chase hasn't told me anything. He told me your name.
To be fair, I like it to be a mystery.
Yeah,
So
and
you
I do
guys have a
too.
good
And I do too.
conversation.
I do
Okay.
too. 100%.
Yeah, well, I'll talk about that in a second, but because that's a good story. But basically, I think the concept of personal growth is in all facets: sleep, nutrition, hydration. I like the science of it. I like
But I 100% agree. But that is not industry standard. You know, you have a confidence. My wife actually has a community.
Yeah, I've heard you talk about it.
Yeah, so she's got there's Order Man, and she has Revitalized Womanhood. It's the women's version of Order Man.
Sure.
And she's got a bunch of women in her community. And one of the biggest struggles that my wife has as a coach and mentor in her community is the women they struggle with confidence.
Yeah.
You know, one, and then also being in the shadow of their husband.
Okay.
Which I think is natural. You know,
Sure.
maybe not natural, but whatever the right word is, but the man is
I think
dominant.
it's just the roles, right, that we play.
Yeah.
I don't know that it's like every relationship's different, but like, yeah, I mean, what are the roles there, and
sure.
what's the respect level in terms of individuality?
Yeah. But I love how, and I think you should go on my wife's podcast after having this conversation, because her women need to hear someone like you speak, because, you know, being an entrepreneur, doing all these adventures, it's so healthy.
Yeah.
It is so healthy. You know, that's,
Yeah.
I like my wife, I says, you know, we have 3 kids, soon to be 4 here now. She's pregnant. And I was like, what do you want to do? You know, like if we're not traveling, what do you want to do?
For sure.
Being a mother is great. And if that's all you want to do,
Yeah.
100% supportive. But do you want more?
Yeah. Yeah.
And now she's got Revitalized, and she
That's
loves
awesome.
it. You know, it's her passion.
Yep.
But I think it's so healthy. A lot of men, and this is a conversation where a lot of men want their wives to be submissive. They want them to be, you know.
Right.
It sounds like your husband's a good dude that just like go
He
live and
puts
have
up
a
with a lot.
blast.
I'll say that, but yeah, I mean, does he agree with everything that I want to do?
Well,
always?
of
No.
course not. Of course
But,
not. That's marriage.
Yeah, no, but
For
he
the
definitely
most part,
tries to, you know, give me the room to do what I need, and you know, his ways of supporting are perfect for him and for me. You know, it's like we're figuring those things out as we go,
100%.
and you know, sometimes I know it's challenging. Like we have a big age difference, and so like our first date
Is
was
he younger or older?
hike. He's older.
Okay.
So our first date 27 plus years ago was a hike. So we started our relationship with a hike.
I love it.
And that's just always been something that we've done together. Always.
That's so important.
And-
I tell my little boys,
yeah.
you got to have similar interests.
You do.
You got to, you know, like
Yeah.
me and my
There's
wife
gotta be
love to
something.
travel. You have to have that foundation to build on.
Absolutely.
I love that.
Well, it's, you know, he's still really active, and he's so young for his age. So I'm 47, he's 77. We have
Oh,
a
wow.
30-year difference.
Oh, yeah.
But if you met Dave, like you would be like floored that he's his age, because he's very young for his age, and he stays active. For sure, he's starting to like slow down, but he's also had some surgeries for his back and stuff that have really started to, like, I would say he feels it more.
Yeah.
So
My dad too. My dad's, I think, 73, and he's getting into that realm of
yeah,
just trying to maintain, trying to hold together.
for sure. So
Is that, sorry, not to cut you off.
No, you're good. Like what was cool, and I was training for the marathon, is because it was in the summer, and like of course I didn't really want to train here in St. George when it was getting so hot. So Dave would drive me up to Kolob, and I'd hop on Wildcat Canyon trailhead, and he would drive up to Lava Point and act as an aid station for me with everything I needed. So when I made it there, then I could refuel, and then he would drive back to Wildcat Canyon Trailhead and I'd meet him back there.
That's awesome.
So stuff like that, like he'll find ways to support and be there during my training.
Right.
Right.
Is it, so with him being so much older, does he have a lot of wisdom on, I love talking to older people. I'm sure being married to someone that's, older like that, it's got to be.
Oh, there's so much wisdom in that guy.
Insight.
No.
Yeah.
He's a geology guy, and he loves the natural world. He loves animals. He loves being outside. So, I mean, he has an ability to retain information like no other. And so anytime you're out, you're learning something.
I love it.
Yeah.
I love it.
Yeah.
So okay. So I wanted to ask you, Chase actually put this on here, and I actually was thinking on the way down here, what are you laughing at, Chase? I just like to laugh. Yeah. So to talk a little, I actually want to talk a little bit about the barbershop.
Okay.
So what makes you want to be an entrepreneur? Where did that drive come from? Again, I'm just trying to dig into this to where people that are listening,
good question.
Can,
yeah,
because I'm the same way. This is my 13th business.
Yeah.
I love it.
Yeah.
I love the challenge sometimes, most of the time. But what made you do that? Where did that come from?
Being a barber wasn't in the beginning, and that was not the plan.
You didn't go to school for that? Or?
I did.
Okay.
Eventually I did, but I actually went to school for graphic design.
Okay.
So I have a Bachelor of Fine Arts from UVU.
Mm-hmm.
And the economy tanked in 2008. I graduated in 2007. I was working in Salt Lake City at this architecture firm helping on their design team. And it just, our whole team was laid off. Except for our supervisor and
with the recession.
Yeah. So I was supplementing income with freelancing and then eventually working at Sundance Resort again, which was great. And
Sundance Resort is no snowboarders, right? Is that the one?
Oh, no, they are. It's Deer Valley.
Deer Valley.
Yeah.
Okay. What's Sundance?
Yeah.
Is that the one that, I thought that was the one that
in Provo,
Robert Redford.
Yeah.
Oh, is that the one?
Mm-hmm.
Okay.
Yep.
I thought it's skiers and snowboarders.
They had 1 or 2 years where they did not allow snowboarders, but that was back in, I want to say 99.
Okay. So I taught snowboarding at the Canyons.
Okay.
In Park City, and I think it was 2000.
Then it was, I think it was 99 or maybe 2000. It was when.
Right there close.
It was around that time.
Okay. Yeah.
But yeah, I mean.
They tried it, didn't work.
Yeah, it didn't work.
Good.
Yeah. So they've allowed snowboarders ever since. But,
okay. Sorry.
No, you're good. So, I had to shift gears. I waited it out a few years, and I was supplementing my income different ways, but eventually I found myself really drawn to barbering, and I think I was already cutting my husband's hair, my boy's hair in my kitchen. Not well, but I was doing it. Mm-hmm. And
I cut mine too.
Yeah, and I just thought
not well.
I just thought, this seems like right up my alley. It checks a lot of boxes because it's creative, it's a people-oriented business, and I get to basically build a community. And so after some thought, we went for it, and I went back to barber school in Salt Lake. And right out of the gate, one of my friends in barber school, Stephen Roccazella, asked me to partner with him to start a business. So I didn't ever work for any other barbers. I immediately went into business with Stephen, and we started a shop called The Refinery.
In Salt Lake?
It was actually in Springville.
Okay.
And because I lived in Provo, and
yeah.
he lived in, I can't remember where he lived. I think Saratoga, but so we started that. And at that time, Dave and I knew we were probably going to be moving here to St. George within about 3 years. And even with that on the table, he's like, let's just go for it. Let's build the business. So we did, and I loved it. And then I knew when I moved here, when in the process of phasing out from the refinery and me moving here, that he was going to keep the refinery name and I needed to build my own thing. And that's where Benchmark came into play. And so now it's been, let's see, I think this was my 7th year as Benchmark. Yeah, it was my 7th year. And
which Chase says he's been going there for 7 years, didn't you say?
Yeah, long time.
Day one.
Chase has been long time client.
I love
and
that.
This guy is awesome.
He is.
Yeah. So I have built, I'm always so like amazed and inspired and grateful for my clientele, my community. I've definitely had guys that have come in and, you know, they've moved or they've found like, my price has gone up. I've moved. There's shifts that happen, and I do lose people along the way, but I have a great core, and even the people who have left are just, I still consider my friends and like guys that are just doing great things in their lives. And I
love that.
Yeah.
I love that it's, I love the story behind it. Like you said, that it's bigger than just hair.
Oh man. It's
yeah.
so much bigger than that. And here's the thing, I guess this would be a good segue to share that 29029 story. But when I first started Benchmark, when I was building the whole model for it, I was still living up Provo Canyon, and my friends across the street, the Deardens, were telling me about a nonprofit that they were working with in Nepal. And they just said, this woman is, she's going to be speaking at our church. And if you want to come hear it, their message is amazing. And they're helping kids that live in the slums get educated, go to school, because school's not free in Nepal. And so they rely on Americans and other people to donate like $20 a month so kids can have enough money to go to school.
Wow.
So I thought, I can't do a lot, but how cool would it be to just give like annually 1% of the barbershop revenue and give back that way. So then it really projected this it put me on a trajectory for giving back, because then all the products, I started focusing more on like what products, the companies, what they were doing and how they were giving back. And so then I pretty much over time curated a whole lineup of products that was all based on companies who give back.
I love that.
And then that was going well. I did a few fundraisers. We did some things. And over the course of the last few years, I've become really good friends with Usha and her husband, Randall. And in 2021, this is just really kind of random. My brother is an ammo dealer, and he lives up north, and I was helping him at a gun show in Salt Lake. And so Usha and Randall, who also, they were living in Salt Lake, came and visited. And Usha just at random told me like some of her plans and some of her big goals for Eternal Hope Nepal, for her charity. One of those goals was that they could build like a job skills training center for not just the kids, but like the kids who are graduating, and then like some of the parents.
Almost like a college.
Yeah, like more of a community center where the adults could get job skills training.
I love it.
And I was like, oh, that is amazing. Well, about that same time, shortly after, I was seeing ads on Instagram for an event that maybe you've heard of called 29029 Everesting.
Yeah, it's in like Washington State, right? Isn't it? Or
Well,
did they do
close.
one there?
No, they have like 5 or 6 locations now. One's at Snow Basin Resort in Utah. They have them in Vermont, Whistler, Sun Valley, Jackson, and now Mont Tremblant in Quebec.
I know
So-
one of my buddies was going to do it where, I don't remember the details, but
Yeah, so basically what it is you have a 36-hour window to hike the same elevation as Mount Everest. So you hike 29,000 feet, but because obviously
go up and down.
you go up and then you ride the gondola down.
Oh, cool.
And then you have to repeat. So you have, at Snow Basin, you have to do it 13 times.
Wow.
So I was seeing the ads for it, and I really wanted to do it. It caught my eye because the Himalayas have always just been kind of this presence with stories and everything. I just have always been pretty connected to that and attracted to that. And then being involved with Usha in Nepal, right? I was like, man, this is such a cool hike. This is just something I need to do. So I ended up getting into the event for 2022. And then
You go. You can go
Okay.
ahead. We'll just keep going.
Okay, so basically I'm like, okay, I for sure have to get into this event. This is insane. And what a fun way to challenge myself with hiking, and then
Which one did you do?
the snow basin.
Okay.
Then the thought occurred to me one day, man, I'm going to be hiking almost 30,000 feet. I should try to raise $30,000 for that job skills training center.
Wow.
Like, I don't know where that.
Wow.
Like, I've never raised that kind
That's a
of
big
money.
number.
Yeah, no, it for sure is.
That is an Everest.
I don't
in
think
itself.
I really knew what I was getting myself into. But,
Yeah.
but at the time, I'm like, oh, yeah, I'm going to be hiking 30,000 feet. For sure, I can raise $30,000.
Wow.
Anyway,
Yeah.
so that was what kicked off, right? So 2022, I'm training. I start doing this massive like marketing fundraising campaign, and that was an experience of in itself. But the event is incredible. It's an all-inclusive thing with coaching, with your accommodations, your food. The community is amazing. It's not a race; it's a personal challenge. So the community that it creates is one that's just so supportive.
Yeah,
everyone's just like
it's not a
swapping
competition.
stories.
It's let's get up. Let's do
For
this.
sure.
I love that.
So, long story short, down to the wire, I'm on ascent. I think I was on ascent 10, and I found out that we made our goal.
Wow.
And our goal, I have to backtrack a smidge because doTERRA actually kicked in and said, we will match up to $15,000.
Oh, wow.
And so I knew I had to just make that $15,000. And on the mountain, I found out we reached that. And now I just had to finish my part of it. So I ended up raising 34 grand total.
That's amazing.
And then now all that that story was crazy because now that's turned into something so much bigger. That Job Skills Training Center.
I can't imagine what $34,000 does in Nepal.
Okay, the dollar is very strong. So we initially were going to build a Job Skills Training Center. They were going to find land and then build it with that money. Well, incredible things happened because, there's just something about people. This is why community is so amazing, is because you start something and then it's the people who really grow it into
100%.
something.
Absolutely.
Okay. It's not just one person doing everything.
Absolutely.
That's not how it works. So for sure, all of a sudden, Usha tells me that this friend of theirs who happens to be like the mayor in this district in Nepal wants Eternal Hope to be in their district, and that there are 3 buildings that are unused that were schoolrooms that he wants them to use, and they just need to be remodeled.
Wow.
So they were gutted, moldy drywall, ceilings, all that kind of stuff ripped out, new bathrooms, new paint, new floor, new roof, new everything. I mean, but the shell was still great. And they've put a fence around it. They created a water catchment system for rain in times of drought. They built a well. I mean, it's incredible.
Have you been there?
Yeah.
That's awesome.
Okay, and I went this March.
For the first time?
For the first time.
Wow.
And it was the grand opening.
Wow.
And the whole community turned out. And
I'm sure.
Like, you can check my Instagram like later and you'll see a video of like all the people lining the street that were welcoming us. It was
for sure
not expected. I had no idea it was going to happen, but it was
amazing. Yeah.
It was crazy. But yeah, so that was one of the amazing things that happened through hiking for me.
And I love that. I think that
like,
is
who would
way
have thought?
inspiring.
Like,
yeah.
who in the world would I never in my wildest dreams would have like ever thought something like that could,
Yeah.
But
well, that just shows you that, if you dream it and you put the effort in, that's what I think a lot of people fall short is everybody can dream.
Right.
But it's the action, that so many people fall short on. And I'm sure, I just know that there was probably 100 times where you could have quit, should have quit, and you just are too stubborn. And that's what gets you there.
Yeah. And I think too, like, you're right. I mean, yeah, you just know, like, you have your why. This is why I'm doing this.
100%.
And that's what gets you through those moments when you do want to quit and when you do think that, like, what am I doing? This is beyond what I've ever done before. Who am I?
Yeah.
But no, you have to silence those thoughts sometimes, because that's where the real potential is.
That's where the growth is, right?
That is, because
on the other side of the struggle and not giving up. If you quit, you never know what you. And I think that's probably all, just from our short conversation, I'm sure that all the times where you have been put in positions through hiking and all these outdoor activities where it's like, from the people that I've interviewed that are pushed to that limit, and you see what more you can do, what you have to do when you get in life-threatening situations.
Right.
And so I'm sure that has built a fortitude in you that it's like, no, I got more in the tank. Let's go.
And I think that's why, like, when you asked me earlier about, like, what drives you to do these things, I don't think, like, you don't just go out big right away. It has to come incrementally most of the time. I think, you grow into it. Mm-hmm. And I, I think the mental strength that comes from doing that slow burn of, like, experience after experience, whether it's through travel or an activity like a sport, you realize, like, well, I did that. What else can I do? Mm-hmm. And I think that's the confidence builder, because now your baseline, your foundation, what it takes to get to that level. Well, I know I could have done more. So, like, why not sign up for the marathon?
Absolutely. Yeah. And I think, like with my kids, the struggle, one thing I did a few years ago is I went around and interviewed a bunch of wealthy people, successful, businessmen. Mm-hmm. And they said that, they missed the struggle. They missed the hard times. Mm-hmm. And then also that's what gave them the value. That's what put the value in the relaxed times, So I think when you go through all those hardships and you come out the other side, that's where the reward is.
Oh, 100%.
I always tell my wife, we didn't inherit any money. We grinded, lost it, got it back. Mm-hmm. Every single time we're sitting on a beach or somewhere in the world, we're like, holy shiz, we did it. We did it.
Absolutely.
And that gratitude
awesome.
of, is huge. And so I think that is, it's gotta be the same, for something like that, where, man, to go through all that and to come out on top. I mean, that's a big goal. Like you said, I know what it takes to just do anything and to try to come out and say, I'm going to raise $30,000.
Yeah.
I like the no fail mindset. She's just like, yep, I can do it.
Yeah.
That one kind of, after it was all said and done, I'm like, wow, you couldn't just go hike the mountain. Like, you couldn't just, that wasn't hard enough.
Open your mouth.
Yeah, that wasn't hard enough. You had to, but that's where, like, I was saying, like, it's never just one person. Usha mentioned to me what she wanted. I have, the physical capability to do something like this. And then I had to rely on people who in my community cared about the same cause.
Absolutely.
And trusted that I could do my part. Obviously, like, you're not going to just throw money at someone, even if they're your friend, if you don't think they can do the activity in of itself,
right? Let
alone if you don't trust the cause.
Well, and that's what I was going to say, the trust, because there's so many scams and there's so many, things out there that people are skeptical. So for you to raise that kind of money, they believed in you. They believed in what you were saying.
Which
and knew that the
humbling.
dollar.
Like, it's super humbling.
Yeah. Yeah. It's amazing.
Yeah. It's humbling. Wow. It's there's so much more to that story. And I've shared that story in 2 other podcasts. So it's like, it's cool to be able to dive in. It's just that takes a while to share that story. That's why I'm trying to, like, condense it.
Yeah.
But,
well, the gist of it is absolutely amazing. Yeah. I mean, how long was that 2 years?
That was 2022. Yeah.
So. How long did it take you to start to finish? What was the timeline that you gave yourself?
I got into, you mean like the whole event and
when
everything?
When you said I'm going to do this.
I got into the event in, like, March of 22 and the event was in August.
Oh.
And I literally.
You raised 30 grand in 6 months?
Yeah.
Oh my gosh.
It was wild.
No joke.
Yeah.
Oh, I thought you were going to say
like
2 years.
I feel like it was like 4.5 months. No, it was not 2 years. That would have been like, yeah, no, it was a few months, dude.
Wow.
Yeah, it was.
Wow.
So yeah.
You know, I think that's another good example. I always tell people, like, when you're, you know, shooting for goals or dreams, tell people.
Yeah.
You know, because once you say it and you get it out there, you carry a lot more pressure to hit those goals.
Right. Oh,
careful what you say, though.
No, but that's a big part of it. It really is, because you can't, if you keep it inside, then it's almost like you're not giving it the power it needs to do.
Well, like you said,
you know.
how can a community get behind something that they don't know about?
Totally.
So you have to throw it out there, but at the same time, it puts some pressure on you.
Well, there's a full-blown accountability, right? Like you have to be disciplined enough and have the integrity to follow through.
Yeah.
And, you know, I mean, I'm not patting myself on the back. I'm just saying that's what it takes. That's what it takes.
Yeah.
Like,
no, that's amazing. I'm sure that is, that's, you know, it's life-changing for so many people in Nepal.
That's
huge.
That's the biggest reward out of this whole thing. That's
planting seeds that are going to change lives forever.
I mean, honestly, like seeing what they were able to do with the money, one was astounding.
Yeah.
And then to see immediately the programs they were building through sewing, because they're trying to make these people into earners, earning more than what their so-called caste allows, right? Because in Nepal, even though they say the caste system is illegal or is no longer recognized, it still culturally exists.
What's caste mean?
It means like your level in society.
I was just in South Africa.
Oh yeah,
and I think that's there.
There's for sure.
We went and donated a bunch of stuff for with M42, and they said, you know, we need similar thing where they said we need to help these people learn how to make money.
Yes.
You know, they don't know how to earn income.
Yeah.
They're just kept below.
Yep.
And
that's,
you know.
Yeah, in Nepal, like how it was is your last name dictated the kind of career you could have, the type of job you could have. And these people, like some of the moms they've never even written their name. Like they're illiterate, you know, and now they have like these sewing programs where they're learning like how to sew, like they sew school uniforms for their kids because the kids are wearing like button-ups and slacks and or track suits. So they're learning how to do all that and then potentially like start sewing really anything else.
Right.
And
I mean, you got Everest right there, sleeping bags or hiking
just
gear, you know.
Their own clothing, whatever.
Whatever. Yeah.
So, and then there's a earth-back construction program. There's agriculture. They're teaching them all kinds of stuff.
I love it.
So,
yeah.
Yeah.
Well, that is amazing. So I was going to chat. Where are we at on time, Chase? I can talk forever. We'll go another 10 or 15 minutes, but, you know, just from having this conversation with you, I know we had talked to you about, you know, coming in as a mentor.
Oh yeah.
For M42 Adventures. And again, you know, we haven't talked personally about it yet, but, I just wanted to discuss that a little bit as far as to let people, you know, kind of, I thought instead of us having a private conversation, I can just do it on the air.
Cool.
And then you can understand it, take it, think about it and come back.
For sure.
You know, basically everything you're saying is exactly what we're trying to do here. You know, I'm not doing this for a paycheck. Chase knows.
Yeah. Right. Yeah.
You know, I am here because, I want to change people's lives, you know, and the unique thing about the Genesis, which is our community, you have M42, which is the company, and then our community is the Genesis, which means the start, right?
Yeah.
That I've found compared to other communities is I'm not a professional. Most communities that I see is kind of a top-down structure. You know, the guy or girl in charge is the end-all say-all. And I didn't feel comfortable with that because I'm not versed in these. You know, our community is basically everything outdoors. And then we have the 4 pillars, which is finance, like you said, fitness, family, relationships, and then your spiritual mental health.
Yeah.
You know, without those 4, I think that you're struggling. You're not going to go on a hike if you're depressed,
Right.
or if you're overweight, or if you're broke,
Sure.
But we had spoken about just because you're in the Genesis,
Yep.
about that, and that's where I think that this is so needed. I loved what you said about your childhood and your schooling. That, I have 3 little boys. I have a little girl on the way.
Yeah.
And that gets me excited. The public school system does not.
No.
At all.
Well, the way that you're raising your kids now with travel and those kinds of experiences are actual, such a
value, I
value
hope.
and real world experience where, we can all, there's a level of book smart that I think is important, but in the real world, you got to have street smarts and your relationships with people.
100%.
And
networking. I tell my boys networking, book smarts are important, and then street smarts I think are more important.
Right.
I really do.
And then you're exposing them to all these cultures.
Right.
And then also just operationally, what do you, getting on a plane. Right. And navigating.
Absolutely.
So.
Yeah. And so that's what I think with, what we need in the Genesis. We obviously have, how many mentors do we have, Chase? 5, 6 now?
6.
Yeah.
So 6 mentors. We're covering, I think, 8 or 10 channels. But that's what I want people to know that are listening, is I have lots of people that I can go to that ride a bike or hike on the weekend or, whatever, some of our other ones.
There's a lot of people that are hobbyists.
Yeah.
But it's I want our mentors to be people like you who have done a gauntlet of these things. Because you're actually a guide in Zion, right?
That is starting in March.
So you're going to be a guide in your spare time?
One day a week, thanks to 2 clients of mine that offered me the position that their business is growing now to the point where they need to hire. And I cut their hair, and they're like, look, we've thought of you a few times, and we want to know, is this something you want to do? And I'm like, funny enough, a year ago, I was kind of half teasingly saying man, I wonder if I could just get paid to hike.
Yeah.
And then here we are. So it's not going to be my full time because I still, I love cutting hair and my business, but I feel super fortunate that I get to take this on because it's something I've always really wanted to do. And to be able then to share and grow in that way, I could definitely see that as a strength and a value to bringing back to M42 Adventures.
Yeah, I think, just like do you follow me on social media?
I think I just started a couple weeks ago.
Have you seen my cabin?
Yeah. You sent me a picture.
Did I?
Yes.
My cabin would be, so we have people come and it's been booking well, and everybody asks, what do we do?
Yeah.
What do we do?
Yeah.
So if you do start doing that, let me know.
Oh yeah.
And I'll refer them to you because,
For sure. Yeah.
Again, the beauty about this is, we were going to start charging. We obviously have costs here,
Of course.
We pay Chase, I think, do we?
Yeah, something like that.
Do we? But, me and my partners have all said, listen, let's waive this for at least another 6 months because we have 81 people in the Genesis right now.
Yeah. And congrats, by the way, because I know it's a big deal.
It is.
The L9 community is not.
Oh my!
Takes time.
Jeez.
Takes a lot of time, and it's also I think it can feel overwhelming.
Oh, completely.
To
Slightly mind numbing.
Where do we start?
Well, and the hard part is, so I ran it all this year while my wife's pregnant, and then I'm leaving in February.
Okay.
To go do more travel, but also to do some of these adventures. We have, I think, 7 adventures. There's 14 weeks of adventures next year with M42. So I'll go to those.
Yeah.
Why not? Like you said, kind of my goal is to have all the, it's I want to help people. And honestly, if I just broke even on our costs and was able to help people and go make relationships, some of the stuff we've done. We went to Africa this year. We did Alaska.
Right.
We're doing Costa Rica in March.
Yeah.
Just like you said, the friendships.
Yeah.
Just the relationships that you make in these communities are why I'm here.
Totally.
And that's
cool.
a lot of our mentors are here as well they've all said, listen, we'll come in, we'll do what you ask, which they have to do some stuff inside the Genesis, but they're all wanting to just go on experiences.
Yeah.
And one thing we're looking at doing, once we get enough members to where we can justify it, and again, they're not paying, but just know that it's going to be well received, I guess. But we're going to we want to do mentor only experiences.
Oh, nice.
So I thought that would be kind of a cool touch for people who come in and donate their time and their, but.
Well, plus we're like, we're kind of spread all over the country. So it'd be cool to, actually get together with some of the other mentors during an event.
Yeah.
Right.
So that'd be kind of,
that is cool.
Well, and that's where I think the hiking one and all the things that you enjoy are so valuable because it's easy entry. We did a firearm class. Was it last month?
Yeah. November. Yeah.
Was it November? And then we're doing one in January. We're looking at doing an off the grid cooking experience.
Yeah.
But again, just like that, where it's like, let's take 30 people out and go hike Zion.
Yeah.
Yeah.
For sure.
And let them know, like, this is the shoes you need to wear. This is this is the walking stick, or this is the,
this is the hydration you want.
This is the hydration you want. Yeah. Just a basic, and then it can go from there.
For sure.
So I think that's something that we should look at, Chase. Again, I'm 10 hours a week right now. And then
we're going to try and put events together for pretty much everything that we do on the Genesis. It just seems logical for the people out there. And
that's what I think with these communities, the online communities are important. But like you said, I want to build the school in Nepal.
Right.
I want to, it's like we can change lives online. And I do believe that. I do believe that you can change lives through that.
Yeah, there's interactions that are important.
But I think where the growth happens is when I'm following you up a trail and you're telling me, about this beautiful, canyon we're in.
Sure.
So that's what gets me excited. That's what gets me pumped up is those experiences that are actually where the, rubber meets the road.
Yeah.
So we can talk more about that, but if that's something you're interested in.
I appreciate the offer, and for sure it's been something that
I'm sure you just need more on your plate.
Don't we all? But
it's so fun.
But the thing is I think when it's already been on my mind, it's already been something that I've, thought, man, could this work out?
Well, and I like your mindset of understanding, and I'm not as good at this. I'm one of those people where when I start building these companies, I just want them to go. I want them to go fast, and I have that problem, and I have all of my businesses. I talked to Ryan, it took him 2 or 3 years to get 30 members.
Yeah.
Obviously he's charging, so that's a little different. And that was one thing where I thought, I don't want to go from 80 members down to 10 or 15 and put a financial struggle on these people. I actually had a buddy of mine reach out, and he's a close friend of mine. And he says, we were just chit chatting, but he says, I have a hard time with these, and I do the finance class. Mm-hmm. He says, I'm not saying that you're doing this, but I have a hard time with these financial people who say they've made it, quote unquote, and they want you to pay for your service. And I was like, that's hard. That's hard to swallow,
That's a rough one.
And I thought, you know what? I'm going to pick up the check for another 6 months. Again, I have costs. We have those things that, but my genuine hope for this, and we're a baby, like you said, you're 7 years into your business. Some of my businesses are 20 years old, but not even a year old yet. But my genuine hope is that we can get hundreds of people out hiking, hundreds of people out, surfing, golfing, shooting guns, fishing, whatever it is, and I think that's what's needed. There's a lot of online communities, which we are, but we're working on, our goal for 2026 is going to be, several of these a month. Mm-hmm. And so I'd like to throw, if you're interested, I think we should look at a hiking one. We're in the,
this is a great time to go.
A better place. So.
And this is a great time to be out. Just, it's cooler and,
it's quieter.
Yeah.
That's what I tell people. Yeah. When we go to Zion, me and my family, it's now. Mm-hmm. Because it's a little chillier, but you're not fighting shuttles and crowds and
You see more deer.
All the you see more deer. Yeah. The hard part is it gets dark at like 4.
Yeah, exactly. I know you got to go early.
Yeah. But there's a beauty to it. You see some ice on the waterfalls. Yeah. I love my cabin and it gets that little dust of snow.
Yeah.
So yeah, we're going to try to put together a cooking experience. I'd love to have you come out.
That'd be amazing. Yeah.
As an
that'd be
invite
great. Thank you. Yeah,
see
that'd be
what
great.
Chase
I've been
can do.
wanting, I've only seen photos and heard the stories of Chase's outdoor cooking, but
Yeah.
trust me, I've wanted to partake many times.
Yeah.
So, yeah.
Well, I really appreciate you coming in. Is there anything else you want to add to that we didn't touch on? I mean, I need to get you on my wife's. I really think you would be, I think her women need to hear this, and her audience. You're very inspiring.
Thank you.
You really
Thank
are,
you.
and I know,
thank you.
I know we hear that and we brush it off on, some of the things we've done, but what you're doing is not normal. It's not,
No.
you're rare. And so I think you need to be
thank
proud
you.
of that. And obviously, you're inspiring others. So I appreciate you, taking the time to come down here after work, I'm sure.
You're welcome.
And take time out of your life.
I felt like, it seemed like a good fit. And when I was talking to Chase during his last haircut, I'm like, dude, that's awesome. Like, it sounds so cool what you guys are doing. So I was pumped that you guys invited me to be here. So
yeah, I think you fit right in. And that's like I was saying about our community. Chase is going to be running the show, but we want, like you said, a community doesn't exist with just me.
sure.
We need good people around us to
Yeah.
spread the message, get people in here. It's free, and don't let people, I want people to understand the fact that it's free does not negate the value.
No.
I assure you,
Yeah,
I will put our community up against any other community out there as far as
Right.
self-help.
Right.
I mean, just the financial accountant aspect from you, and the mental health, and from Seth and Dan, the relationships, the therapy aspect. They're actual therapists. Like that's huge. That's an expensive thing.
I know what
to
they
normally
charge,
do. Yeah,
and they're donating their time. And so that's what I think is, it's like, we're not charging because we don't think it's worth it. We are not charging because we want there to be an easy entry in here.
Right.
But then you have to come in and do it.
Yeah.
That's the thing is,
Right.
you have to participate. You have to put yourself out there. And I, like you said, I like the fact that you said, I do all these different things, but I don't stick with them a lot. I do some, and I'm the same
Right.
way.
Yeah.
I tell my kids, my sons, my oldest loves vanilla ice cream and my middle loves chocolate. We go all over the world. And I'm like, what do you want? Vanilla, chocolate, vanilla, chocolate. And I'm like, do you guys know that there's a place called Baskin Robbins in America? And I always get it wrong. Is it 31?
Yeah. Yeah.
I'm like, I used to say 28 or something.
Oh,
My buddy's
yeah.
like, it's 31, bro. But there's 31 flavors.
Mm-hmm.
Like anything in your life, don't date one girl. Don't,
Right.
try one job. Don't try one hobby, And
Right.
I believe that. It's like, go out there and see what flavor you like.
I
And
always say, try everything twice because it might be an acquired taste.
Yeah. Yeah.
True.
Now, Woody says, I'll try anything 5 times.
Yeah, that's what
That's
he
his
says.
quote, But yeah, I think that's, I love that that's your mindset to where it's like, listen, I'm going to try this and try that. And I wish there was more people that were like you. And I think that you can help a lot of people with that mindset. And I think we need to try to help you get out there more. And we'll do anything we can to help you, because I think, especially women, I really do believe, it's even more rare. You have men who spend a lot of money on self-help and all these things, but women tend to not.
Mm-hmm.
They just kind of take care of the kids or whatever.
Mm-hmm.
And, I see my wife, and I heard this saying the other day that said, happy wife, happy life. Right. And he says, I don't necessarily agree with that. He says it should be a fulfilled wife, not just don't make them happy, but make them fulfilled.
Yeah. Like when there's like such a sense of meaning or purpose behind what it is that you're doing.
Look at Nepal.
Yeah. There's a joy that comes from that. And that can come from motherhood.
100%.
That can come from your career. That can come from
your marriage.
Yeah,
For
sure. But on an individual level, when you're working on yourself and you're thinking about, what your strengths are. And then we always, I think, are hypercritical of our weaknesses. We tend to shy away from the things that are our weaknesses because they scare us, or we don't want to look bad in front of people. But those are usually the things we need to work on the most. And that's where you tend to overcome, like, in big ways.
100%.
And where you think you're not capable of doing something, and that's that limiter, that gets in your way. But really, if you just strip that down and you're like, you know what? No, I'm not a great runner, but let's figure this out so that at least I can try. That is what opens doors for
100%.
yourself on that individual like journey.
And I completely agree. And I think what most people miss is we all feel that.
Yeah.
You know, I know when you did your
absolutely.
firearm class and I went to it, the first one, and you said, hey, we're having a competition, step up to the line and shoot the target. And everybody stood there for a second.
Yeah.
And I'm like, crap, you know, this is my company. It's my event. I'm going to stand up there and look like an idiot. And it was you know, I was nervous. I was nervous and I'm like, why?
Yeah.
You know, what's the big deal? But to have 20 people standing there watching you pull the trigger at a target, you know, but we all feel that. That's what I think people don't realize. You see, you know, Instagram is the highlight reels.
Yep.
It's the best of everything, but it's like, I don't wake up and go to the gym at 5 a.m. and, you know, meditate every morning and go for a run after and, you know, make $1 million.
Why not, dude?
I'm tired.
Yeah.
But it's like, you
No.
know, but it's like, but if you tweak it a little bit and you keep, I saw a guy the other day that said, if you're trying to eat healthy, 10 out of 10 meals, you're going to fail. You're going to get frustrated. He says, I try to do 7 out of 10. Give yourself some grace.
Yeah.
And I'm like, I love that. You know, like, I think we see these people that are just, and there are people out there and it's amazing. I'm not negating it. You know, Cam Haines, have you seen him?
Yeah. Oh,
He's been an inspiration to me to go trail run.
yeah.
And I don't want to trail run.
Yeah.
But I'm like, that looks kind of cool. And he's a cool guy. But man, he goes and runs, you know, all the time. And I'm like, that's not going to be me, but I will do it here and there. And I think I'll enjoy it. But I think people, like you said, you need to find out what works for you, you know, but I think the biggest thing that people lack that I see is we read the books, we listen to the podcasts, we watch the shows, but we don't do.
Yeah.
You know,
that is the hard part.
Get outside, get a pair of shoes and find a trail.
Yeah.
It's very simple. There's trails all over America. And go check it out.
I remember I was reading, you know, there's always like quotes at the back of like certain things. And it was like a long time ago, Men's Health, you know, it was a like workout guide or something. And the back of it, I always remember this one. I don't know why, but it had a quote by Matthew McConaughey. And all it said was just tie your shoes. Like that first step, just putting your shoes on and tying them. So you're already ready to go outside. So like you're going to have to make up excuses not to go after that. You know what I mean?
Right.
And it's weird because it's something so simple, but it really works.
Yeah.
It was funny. I went to the
cool.
gym. So I think it was Sunday. I went to the gym twice and left.
Oh man, that's horrible. I mean, I get it. But
I went there and I got in the parking lot and I'm like, oh, dude, I do not want to be here. I hate this. I drive away and I don't live near the gym. I drive home. I go back and my wife calls and she's like, what are you doing? I'm like, I'm back at the gym. She's like, oh, you're working out? I'm like, I'm in the parking lot. And she's like, just go. And I'm like, I don't want to. And I didn't go, to be honest. But that's what I think people don't realize is we all struggle. We all have bad days. We all have that stuff. But as long as I think most of the time you can overcome that.
Yeah.
And I think the biggest thing is, like you said, finding that purpose. And Gina, the reason I've been going to the gym is I'm 44 and we're having a baby.
Yeah. Yeah.
That's crazy.
That's a big deal.
And Gina's like, we have to stay healthy.
Yeah.
We have to stay mobile.
Right.
You know, we just decorated my house last night and all this Christmas stuff that I've had in boxes because my older kids don't really care, you know, but my little one is looking at all these other houses. I'm like, we got to go decorate, you know, like this is his childhood. But I'm trying to find my purpose. I'm trying to find my passion. I don't know why I hate the gym, but I'd rather, and I probably need to go hiking.
Well, it probably
I need
is
to go
just
do something different.
Yeah, you want to be outside or rather than
I hate being in the
but-
gym and
do you
just
want to
everybody's
hear a secret?
yeah.
Every single morning, I walk in the gym and I'm like, I do not want to be here.
Do you?
And I
So you
do
used to make a
not
person
have
that
the
loves
energy
it.
for this.
Yeah.
But I'm like, I'm just gonna do it, see how it goes.
Yeah.
And then it's over, and I'm like, thank goodness I did that.
Yeah.
And I always feel better after.
Good job, Chase.
Yeah. Because
Every
you go at like
single
4
day.
a.m., right?
5. You know,
Jeez.
but-
No,
So-
we all have those moments, and that's completely human and normal. And I think it's easy to go in cycles too of feeling really strong and determined and consistent, and then maybe you go out of town for a couple days and then you get back and it's hard to jump back in, or you get sick, or, you know, some life thing happens and it derails you for a minute and then you got to get back on. And it's just easy to like have those moments where it's like, it's easy to create an excuse. It's easy to like, you know, create reasons not to do it.
I can
it's
do it
so
easily.
yeah. Oh yeah, we all do.
Yeah.
And
I think that's where the community helps.
it does. And the accountability.
They say if you get a partner for the gym, you're like 80% more likely to go. I'm like,
that's the accountability, right?
That used to be the only way I'd go. Is
Really?
for someone else.
Really?
I would never go for me.
Gina said, she's like, find somebody to go with because it makes you
It does
feel
help.
obligated,
Yeah.
you know? And I think that's where I think we're working on like teams in the Genesis. I think that's an important aspect that we don't have right now, but
it definitely.
Ryan has it and Gina has it. And I think that's something that we want to put together to where you have, you know, there's 80 people in there. It's like, let's make 10 teams of 8 that are just people cheering you on.
You know, I think one thing, I'm trying to remember what book it was. It might be the 4 Agreements, but I just remember reading something that was basically like, look, when it comes to accountability, we are far less likely to let somebody else down, right? Like if you show up at the gym knowing that you have a partner there that's expecting you and waiting for you and is going to be like cheering you on, or you're
it's easier
cheering
to let
them
ourselves
on.
down than them.
Yes, that is exactly it. So it was like, how often do we let ourselves off the hook? Because integrity goes both ways. Whether you have a partner or not, you have to be willing to still show up, even if it's just you.
100%.
And how easy is it for us to let ourselves off the hook or tell ourselves why we're not going to do something rather than tell somebody else why we're not going to do something? And I kind of made a point a couple years ago to just say, like, if I were with somebody else, I would not be making excuses. So why am I making excuses? And holding myself accountable, because at the end of the day, nobody knows. Nobody knows if you went to the gym or not. Nobody cares.
Yeah.
Nobody cares if I hike or not, but I care.
Yeah.
Or nobody knows if I'm getting on my mat in the morning to meditate, but I care. And if we can't even like hold ourselves accountable, or can't even like be true to what actually matters to us, then I think that's something that can be worked on.
We got to get to the bottom of that.
Yeah, because, you know.
And I think that's where, you know, like you said, like we said, find your purpose. Because if you say, hey, you need to go to the gym to lose 50 pounds, it's like, I just don't want to, I don't care.
Yeah,
And
what
like,
is the why?
It's like, well, come out to, hey, in 9 months, we're going to do a amazing 3-night hike in Zion.
Right.
And it's going to be hard if you're overweight. It's like, oh, there we go.
Motivation.
There's my reason, you know?
Yeah.
And so,
yeah.
And I think like we also said is saying it out loud. You know, that's one thing with M42 and you have a podcast. For the last 9 months, I've been saying, I'm starting this. You know, they said, my wife looked up a statistic and 90% of podcasts don't make it past 6 months or 10 episodes. And they said people just get in and they think everybody's going to tune in, and
it's discouraging to not see that you have an audience.
It is. And I was listening to my buddy the other day, who's another podcaster, and he was talking about this, and he says, people don't want to hitch their wagon to something until they see if you're going to stick.
Yeah.
And I'm like, wow, that is a good point, you know? And so it's like, hey,
yeah, I'm
here. I'm not going anywhere. We're going to keep going. Yeah. And it's going to be slow and steady. And that's the way it's going to be. I think it's understandable because there's so much out there. There's so many podcasts. There's so much noise that it's just going to take time, and hopefully they come and stay.
Yep.
But
and they will, because they'll start to see the value and that they belong and they fit for various reasons.
Yeah. And some won't. Some won't. Some will come and say, hey, this wasn't for me. And it's like, nope,
that's
no
just
hard
the
feelings.
nature of any business.
And like you just said, with your barbershop, you know, it's like, I've got my core and some come and go for whatever reasons, but I have my core, and you know, in 2 years, 3 years, 4 years, 5 years, 7 years, what's our core going to look like? You know, and I'm excited for that. And I think we're going to
Dude,
Change lives.
you will be amazed at like what's transpired over the next few years. You'll be like, I remember.
I know.
You know?
That's what Ryan always says. He says, you're going to be like, oh man, I remember when we had 10 members or when we had a few experiences and
we can
that's
inspire
the
the next world champions in so many different things.
Yeah. Hopefully.
You just never know.
Yeah.
So.
Well, and I'm excited to do, we did this one in New Harmony, but the experiences that I love are the ones where we do like a hiking experience with outdoor cooking or,
For sure. You come back from something and then Chase has got like the salmon going.
Yeah.
It's all about right there.
Yeah.
Refuel.
Yeah. Yes. Yeah. So I'm excited for those ones where, we can marry
totally
some of these experiences together and let people try a couple different things at once, so, and we're in the perfect spot for it. So
nice.
Well, Dayna, I appreciate you coming by. How do people find you then? So we know Benchmark Barbershop here in St. George or Washington.
Yeah, right here. I'm literally up the street from you, just the next block.
Okay.
Just right inside Fitness Culture in the lobby there. We have a barbershop, and I'm currently...
right this building right here? My dad owned that building.
Oh, nice.
Yeah, he lost it in the recession.
Oh, man.
Well, the gym
That's
lobby
a beautiful
is...
place.
It is, yeah. The gym lobby is
What's
now
the owner?
a
Who's the owner of that?
Eli.
Oh,
well,
no.
are you talking about the gym or the barbershop? The gym is Steve Cook.
Yeah.
But Eli Williams is the owner of the shop, and then a few of us booth rent from him.
I love it.
So I'm in a little bit of a transition at the moment, but like I've been with them now for a little over a year and a half, and it's been incredible.
Oh, good.
And so that's where I'm at. And if somebody was interested in booking a haircut, you can go to benchmarkbarbershop.com. I'm on, the socials and stuff. Dayna Boshard or Dynamite77.
I love it. Yeah.
So.
Like I said, I appreciate you coming here. We're going to keep working on you. Chase is going to keep working on you.
Okay.
We want you to be a mentor.
Okay. All right.
We'll have some more conversations, but I think
I feel like it's a good fit.
Yeah, I do.
Yeah.
Okay. All right.
Awesome.
Well, thanks for coming in.
Thank you.
All right, there we go. I hope everybody enjoyed that conversation with Dayna Boshard and Rick Trimmer. The 29029 Everest, that is an amazing feat, and I really, really like the manifestation there. The fact that, she really didn't know, how she was going to go about it, and the donations that came about that, she made it past the $30,000, and that story in general, and just, thinking that it was all going to be a success and knowing that it was going to be a success regardless of the outcome, it really hit me hard. And so I'm excited for y'all to jump on the Genesis. She is now one of our mentors as the hiking channel mentor. So she's going to be doing the things that she said as far as guiding hikes in Zion and different things throughout the spring and summer. And we're going to be having some, 1-day events or 2-day events with her through M42 Adventures, and it's going to be a really good pairing. So look out for her on the Genesis as the hiking mentor. And tune in later. Thank you.